WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. 77 degrees, by the way, here at the Source, WOCA, broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall. And it's hard to believe, 77 degrees, right? And if you go into the mall right now, they're playing Christmas music already, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of weird?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Can you imagine this possible scenario? Let's say you're homeless. You have absolutely no home at all. And some rich guy comes to you and says, I have this beautiful home and you're welcome to it. And you say, well, what are the strings attached? And he says, just keep the place clean. I want you to have a good place to live. And you say, wow, that is awesome. So you move into this rich guy's house, and it's a beautiful house. And you don't live up to your end of the deal. You don't keep it in good shape. You mess it up a little bit. And the guy comes by, and he's not going to kick you out, but he's so disappointed. He says, I don't understand. I gave you this house. Why don't you take care of it, right? Well, sometimes I think that's the way it is with God and us. I think sometimes God gave us this beautiful world, right? Mm-hmm. And while he's not going to kick us out, we really do sometimes make a mistake. Just look at we've done a good job reversing some of the problems. The Hudson River is a little bit better than it was.
Yeah.
But I guarantee it's not as clean as it was the day God created it. Mm-mm. But it's little things like that. I remember when I was a kid, the commercials that said, "What's one little bit of litter?" Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
And nothing, but put a whole bunch of together. And so it's this whole mindset of being good stewards of the land, just as you would be a good steward of somebody's home if you somebody gave you a home, and of course they'd be keeping in touch with you and the home in order to make my story work. On the phone is a guy who probably believes a lot of the same things we believe. His name is Reverend Mitch Hescox. He's the president and CEO of the Evangelical Environmental Network. He led the 300-mile Creation Care Walk from West Virginia to Washington, D.C. Wow, that's pretty amazing. And the 80-mile Gulf Coast Prayer Walk during the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. He served as director of fuel systems for Alice Mineral Systems in the coal and utility industry. He's been a guest on CNN, MSNBC, NPR, PRI. He's been quoted in many of the big papers like the New York Times and your Daily Record. So it's quite an honor to be able to say he's now on our show. He's going to talk about some of these things. He's pro-life. He's a Christian. And he wants to let you know that he's also concerned about the global warming problem. And so he's on the phone. Reverend Mitch Hescox. I heard you tell Robin you want to be called Mitch. So good morning, Mitch.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. It is indeed a blessing to be in your show. I'm the one who's honored, not hope. I'm just a regular guy.
There you go. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the humbleness. Where are you right now?
I am actually in New Freedom, Pennsylvania, where I live in my home, and work there. It's where I pastored a church for 18 years, and getting ready to go out on some other journeys here next week to Ohio, but at home this week and very thankful to be home.
What is your message? What do you want us to know?
Well, the message is very simple. Caring for God's creation is a matter of human life. And I think that's the number one message that I want the church to understand. And number two, as you just said, it's an act of discipleship. I often tell people, first off, we have to understand, and I think all of us believe, Psalm 24 says it, Deuteronomy 10 says it, the earth and everything in it belongs to God. And how do we expect to have a good relationship with God and with Jesus if we don't take care of what belongs to him?
There you go.
It breaks our relationship, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, in the whole discussion about global warming, the problem that we run into is there are people who, including the guy from the Weather Channel now, he said there is no global warming. Well, let's just assume we're wrong about that. It doesn't change the other part. It doesn't change the part about being a good steward.
No, absolutely not. In fact, just one of the reasons we as evangelicals, and being pro-life evangelicals, most of what we talk about centers on how we protect our children. And just some things that don't have to do with global warming, things like autism have increased, around 80% in the past decade. And the doctors tell us that maybe 25% of that is related to genetics. The rest of it is environmental causes. If you're a young girl right now...
That's pretty scary.
It is very scary. You know, a young girl that's 13 years old right now has a 1 in 8 chance of developing breast cancer because of environmental factors. When I was growing up, it was 1 in 30. It's pretty scary stuff.
See, that to me, that is a strong enough argument that anybody... See, I don't know. The global warming thing, let me tell you the honest truth about this whole global warming thing from my perspective. I do a radio show. We speak to experts, so-called experts. You can put it in quotes if you want. Some of them outright say there is, and I'm not going to take any arguments. There are other guys who say the exact opposite. There isn't global warming, and I don't want to take any arguments. So how do I know? Sitting here, I haven't taken any thermometers to the South Pole. I haven't done any water measurements. I haven't done anything except listen to what people say. But I have flown into big cities, and I have seen these canopies of pollution over New York and over L.A., and I have seen the Hudson River, and even right here in Ocala, which is pretty pristine, we have seen a decline in the number of fish in the Silver River.
Yes.
So we do see it. And in fact, you know what else? I see in the parking lot of the supermarket somebody throwing their baby's diaper.
Yeah.
So that right there is another reason to say we are not being good stewards.
Well, if you really want to have some fun and really see climate change for what it does to people in Florida, go down to South Florida to Florida International University. I met with a bunch of Christian students down there a month ago, and they're helping to do an underwater research system down there of looking at how the coral reefs are declining and destroying because the oceans are turning to acid. And I know they would be happy to give you a tour out there to see what's going on.
Is that what you saw? Did you see the white coral or whatever they call it? The bleached?
It's called bleach coral. When coral dies, it turns white, it bleaches, and it's destroying fishing in Florida.
See, that's another good reason. So are the water levels rising? Do we know that?
Absolutely, they are. And I think that the easiest thing to see is go to Miami Beach. Again, I was just there. I mean, they just passed a tax increase to raise $300 million for new pumps in Miami Beach because during normal tides, seawater comes into the streets of Miami Beach. And it's just going to get worse. And
really?
You know, oh, absolutely. I mean, we've come up about 10 inches in the past 100 years, and over the next 50 years, it's probably going to come up at least another foot, and maybe higher. And
why are people in general so careless and so disrespectful?
Well, there's a lot of reasons that I think we get self-centered. I think we don't understand. And quite honestly, a lot of Christians misunderstood when God says, I give you dominion over the earth. They took that to mean that we could have a baseball bat and do what we wanted. But that's not what the Bible means. The Bible means that dominion is that we're to shepherd. That's what he told the kings of Israel, to shepherd their people, to care for them, to nurture them. Yeah, not that we can't use anything, but to use it wisely, sustainably. In fact, Isaiah 24 is one of my favorite Bible passages, verses 4 and 5. Human beings destroy the earth because they don't follow God's commandments. Simple, cut and dry.
And your pro-life position is the same thing. We destroy life because we don't obey God's commandments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
See, it makes sense that. See, I'm surprised that people are surprised at your position. I'm surprised at that because to me, anybody who is trying to be a good steward is trying to be a good steward not just for the earth and the land, but for our babies, our children, ourselves,
and even our future.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about to me. Whether it's climate change or getting rid of the toxins that cause autism, or the 1 in 4 kids that have autism, ADHD, allergies, or whatever because of the way we use petrochemicals, it's time to wake up and say we can do better.
I would love to hear a debate between you and whoever is opposing you. I think it would be entertaining. I'm guessing the people who oppose you are very, very similar to you, except for the global warming part.
Well, I think that, and there are people that are out there that have a theology that says nothing that happens on the earth unless God allows it, and that's not my theology because we sin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Hurricanes don't happen because God allowed it, or, car accidents or whatever, and, it's our position that we are the ones that do
hard.
it. And
that's a hard call for me. I don't know about the hurricane part. Can I ask you to hold on just a second? We have to go to a weather break and a couple of commercials, and we'll be right back. And before we wrap it up, I'll make sure the listeners know how to find out more information about you. We'll be right back.
The
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunny to partly cloudy today and pleasant this afternoon, high 80 to 84. Partly cloudy tonight, lows ranging from the upper 50s in some interior locations to 66 along the coast. Tomorrow, partly sunny and warm. There may be a morning shower in spots along the coast, the high 80 to 84. On Friday, partly sunny and becoming less humid with highs in the 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
I'm Major George Patterson from the Salvation Army. Please stop by our family store at 120 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala, where on Wednesday you have a 50% off clothing and bric-a-brac. On Friday, 25% off furniture and large appliances. And on Saturday, stop by to our yard sale from 8:45 to 11. Donations can be made by calling 352-732-4469 and we'll pick it up. Funds from the store go toward the services that we provide in Marion County.
Now is the time to go to your local Kubota dealer and get great financing on a brand new, powerful, feature-loaded Kubota Standard L-Series tractor during our Gear Up and Go sales event. If you're thinking about a rugged tractor with a cab for year-round comfort, then a new Kubota has your name on it. With a smooth-running engine, choice of transmissions, and spaciousness beyond expectation, your Kubota dealer is the place to start. Right now, get your own Kubota L-Series tractor for 0 down and 0% financing for up to 60 months. So for a great deal, think orange at the Kubota Gear Up and Go sales event. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to KubotaDealersOfFlorida.com.
0 down, 0% APR financing for terms up to 60 months on selected equipment now through December 31st, 2014. Not available for rental national accounts or government customers. 0% APR low rate financing not available with instant rebate offers. Financing available through Kubota Credit Corporation USA subject to credit approval. Other exceptions may apply. For more information, call toll free 1-888-465-8268.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Apple peels, they contain a compound called ursolic acid that increases our metabolism, which means an apple a day can definitely help keep the pounds away. Models and doctors do date, but the person you meet online claiming to be one probably is not. It's the most common internet lie. Fashion experts believe the fragrance oil trend is here to stay because sales of traditional spray-on perfumes are disappearing into thin air.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new truck.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, 18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Reverend Mitch Hescox is on the phone. He's been on everything. I won't go through all of his credentials again, but obviously a guy who's been around and very, very passionate about his message. He believes he's a Christian. He's an evangelical. He's a pro-life Christian. He has done more than his share to try to raise awareness about the need for us to be to be better stewards of this planet and of each other. I think that's safe to say. And thank you for waiting through the break, Reverend, or Mitch. He said, call him Mitch, right?
Mitch is fine. Yes, Mitch is fine. No.
And you're in Pennsylvania right now. How's the weather there right now?
Oh, it's going to be about 50 degrees today and sunshiny and not too bad. Not as warm as Florida, but not bad at all. So we'll take it.
Yeah. So the arguments that we hear are usually somehow, colored with or flavored with political points. And the political points are, look, the global warming alarmists is what you're called, by the way. The global warming alarmists want you to change what you're doing because they want to get us off of fossil fuels, to get us off of coal, and it's all about money. Somebody's going to make money somewhere along the way. Obviously, that's not true for you. You're a minister. You're a reverend.
Well, that's true, and I think it's the other way around, quite honestly. And yes, we do have to reduce our carbon footprint. In fact, actually, it's an economic matter. My biggest thing is I'm a registered Republican, been that way all my life. I spent 14 years in the coal industry before I became a pastor. And my biggest concern about the coal industry and the fossil fuel industry is, we continue to pay for the cost of electricity, not only in our meters, but you need to double the meter price to account for the health costs and the other things that add up that nobody pays for other than our health and our children's health. And so for me, not only is it a biblical question, It's a question of market economics. How come people get a free ride? There's not supposed to be a free lunch.
Yeah.
You're doing something special with your radio tour and giving your seminars and talks, is that you're advocating a healthy dialogue between everyone, between the groups, between the individuals, and most importantly, you're bringing it to the forefront of the politicians, but you're not depending on the politicians to do something about it. Ultimately, the people have to do something about it.
Absolutely, and I think that's the biggest, strongest message, is that this should not be a partisan issue. This should be a moral issue. We need to provide a new way of looking at our future. We need to prepare right now for the things like increased storms and disease spreads there in Florida that are happening. Right now, as we act, dengue fever, is almost 1 in 1,000 people in Florida right now because of the temperature increasing. And I don't know if you've ever had dengue fever or know anybody that has. I have had it. It is a tropical disease that is now making its way to Florida because of warmer temperatures, born on a different kind of mosquito. And it's called bone break fever because literally every joint in your body feels like it's breaking.
Oh,
wow. And the temperatures have risen already to the point. So explain this to me. So the mosquitoes would not be here if the temperatures hadn't risen?
Absolutely correct. They're a tropical disease, and they're a kind of mosquito that carries malaria. Most often, the only way it's ever happened in the United States before is that people that came from the tropics were bitten, came into the United States. But now in Florida and in South Texas, dengue fever is moving. It's called a vector-borne disease because of these new mosquitoes that are moving in because of the warmer temperatures.
Okay.
Absolutely, that's why it's happening.
So I didn't realize, how much warmer is it actually now than it was? How much warmer is it?
It's about 1.2 degrees Fahrenheit warmer on average across the United States than it was about 50, 60 years ago.
Okay, so that one degree made the difference. And so how far north are those mosquitoes?
Well, right now they're just in Florida and Texas, but they're moving north.
I see. So as the temperature goes, okay, I hadn't heard that before.
By the way, those statistics come right off the Florida website, government website. They're not my statistics. They're from the state of Florida.
All right. Can I ask you something? I know that our listeners are probably going to want to look into what you're saying. You just gave us one reference place. Mm-hmm. Do you have a book or something or a website that we can direct them to? I don't see it in my notes here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's www.creationcare.org is our website.
Okay.
And we talk about creation care because we believe it is a creation. God created it, and we're called to take care of it. So that's hence the creation care. And we would love people to view it, to take a look at it, to come, and they can contact me through that or any of our staff through creationcare.org.
So, creationcare.org. Well, now let's go outside of the United States for a second here. I mentioned earlier about the Hudson River. It looks a lot better to me than it did when I was much younger. Are we doing better? And do we need to make? I mean, obviously, what we can do here in this country is limited to here in this country. If we make laws, it only applies to us. How is the rest of the world doing in regard to these things?
Well, some good, some bad, and some just getting started. I guess probably the best example of that is something that I was really engaged in a couple of years ago, where I wanted to reduce the mercury coming from coal-fired power plants because mercury literally affects 1 in 6 of our unborn children, causes brain damage. And we had a tough fight, but we had a bunch of pro-life leaders help me out, and we made it through and got that. And because of that new standard in the United States, both India and China have signed on what's called the Miramata Treaty to reduce mercury across the board. So leadership does work, but we have to work with people like India and China, whose carbon output is now vastly growing pretty quick.
Yeah,
and they know it too.
I thought that was true about those two countries. The one thing I think that people can relate to, again, the global warming seems to be political. The mercury levels don't. That doesn't seem to be political. It doesn't seem like anybody's arguing that. So that seems to be an easy way to help people understand that we do need to be good stewards.
Oh, absolutely. And just even there in Florida, do you know that Pensacola has the worst drinking water in the United States of any city, and Jacksonville is number 10.
Really? Wow.
Why?
Because of the pollutants that are in the water. Pensacola is primarily a lot of heavy metals that have gotten into the water and aren't being taken care of. And Jacksonville has some of the same things, and there's also some farm runoff in there too that are not being taken care of.
But okay. So more than Detroit or more than L.A.
Absolutely. Yeah, number one is Pensacola, worst drinking water in the United States.
You talk about the Joseph Pledge.
Yes. The Joseph Pledge is, we believe, the biblical patriarch Joseph was commanded by Pharaoh and ultimately by God to prepare Egypt for 7 years of famine. And we're calling on churches, and we only have 300 pastors across Florida who are taking this Joseph Pledge and coming up with ways that they can prepare their church buildings for extreme weather. They can teach their people how to grow good food through community gardens. They can know who their neighbors are when it comes to extreme weather, and they can become energy efficient and also do things, put up solar and wind when they can do it. So it's a way for them to start preparing for the extreme weather that is happening, and also do good things to become better stewards.
If we clean up our act, if we stop putting mercury into the water and into the air, if we stop putting acid into the ocean, if we stop polluting in general, and the temperatures continue to go up. In other words, if the people who say, look, the temperatures are going to go up because it's just the way the world is, it's got nothing to do with us. So in other words, if we're right about pollution, but we're wrong about the global warming, just a statement, I'm not really asking a question, I think we'll still be better off. If God, let's say, you say God is not responsible for the hurricanes, I think he is. So we'll have to disagree on that one. But I think if the world is warming up on its own, it's probably something God wants. But that doesn't take away from the message of cleaning up the place.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think, we are called to be good stewards. I mean, Genesis 2:15 says we are called to tend the garden. And it all starts with the point is, if, as a Christian, the scriptures are filled, both Old and New Testament, that says that God is the owner and we are just the tenants.
How are we doing, just to change the subject real quickly, how are we doing with getting the message out to young women to choose life?
I think we're doing better than we can. I know as a pastor, we want that to happen, and we can happen, but we still have to go with grace. And I know that, especially among younger people today, we have a guy who pretty much exclusively does work on college campuses. And it's still there. We want to talk about it, but we still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, it is a button pusher for sure. When you do a radio show, you bring up abortion as a button pusher. I'm appalled at the idea that anybody would use abortion as a birth control method. I can understand if there's a need, mother's life, baby's life, etc., but I just don't understand as much as we see it. Reverend Mitch Hescox, thank you so much for what you're doing. You're making the world a much better place. Any long walks planned in the near future?
Not that I have planned. I'm thinking about one for next spring, but it hasn't come together yet. But I tell you, the one on the Gulf Coast was probably the most rewarding that I've ever accomplished. Of just meeting with people there who were impacted by the Gulf oil spill and praying with them. It was probably one of the best spiritual experiences I've ever had in my life.
Did you see any of the tar balls that we heard about?
Oh, my hands were in the Gulf water. I was there. I went literally from Louisiana through Gulf shores and had lots of tar balls, lots of people. And I met, probably the most moving thing was the wife of the fisherman who had committed suicide because his livelihood was just taken away. His fishing boat went from a value of $400,000 to $100,000. And he just became desperate.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Well, again, thank you for what you're doing. I seriously mean this. You are making the world a better place, and you just blessed us by being on our show. So thank you for doing that. The website that Reverend Mitch Hescox gave us is creationcare.org, creationcare.org. We have recorded this, so if you want to share it, you can do so. Just go to WOCA's Facebook page or the YouTube channel where you won't see Reverend Hescox, but you'll hear him.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
And God bless both of you, and thank you for sharing the message.
All right, that was wonderful. All right, we will take a little break. We're going to have fun with Joe in about 10 minutes. This is The Source, WOCA.
Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. Now that the people have spoken, we'll find out what President Obama thinks of the GOP takeover of the Senate and further gains in the House. A White House news conference slated for 2:50 p.m. Eastern. The presumptive Senate Majority Leader meets the press at 2.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is expected to take the reins of the new GOP majority.
The future, I see, is a bright one.
McConnell striking a conciliatory tone, telling supporters there's an obligation to work with President Obama and Democrats on issues they agree.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern. The president had said that although his name wasn't on the ballot, his policies were. A prominent GOP governor says the voters said no to both.
It's a reflection of the president's lack of leadership.
New Jersey's Chris Christie on Fox and Friends. Louisiana's Senate race too close to call.
They'll hold a runoff on December 6th.
Fox Radio's Eben Brown. Neither Senator Mary Landrieu nor the GOP's Bill Cassidy garnered 50% of the vote. Fox News. We report. You decide.
Okay, the Atlanta trip. I have the rental car receipt, but no proof that I actually flew there. I have 2 breakfast receipts, but no dinners, and apparently I slept in the lobby because I have nothing from the hotel.
Traveling for work is work enough. Concur makes it easy. Your business travelers take pictures of receipts and submit expense reports from their smartphones. With Concur, they get to throw away the receipts, you get to rule the budget, and everyone goes home happy. Test drive it free at tryconcur.com.
Attention men, are you urinating often, waking at night to urinate? We want to send you a free bottle of Super Beta Prostate, made with a natural ingredient that supports healthy urine flow, bladder emptying, and is shown to reduce waking at night from the urge to urinate. You can try Super Beta Prostate free. Only pay shipping and handling. This free giveaway is available while supplies last. For details, call 800-460-1033. 800-460-1033. 800-460-1033.
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
Experience Christmas at Gaylord Palms, November 15th through January 4th with Ice, featuring the Nutcracker. Relive your favorite scenes from the classic ballet, hand-carved in more than 2 million pounds of ice sculptures and slides. Enjoy a special bonus area, the Frostbite Factory, and watch artisans from Harbin, China carve amazing ice sculptures before your eyes. Your awe-inspiring experience concludes with the wonder of the Nativity in Ice. For tickets and packages, visit christmas@gaylordpalms.com.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
Howdy, folks. Did you know you can sell your mobile home today for fast cash? That's right. You can sell your mobile home today for fast cash. Just call 1-844-BUY-MY-MH today for a cash offer on your mobile home. That's 1-844-BUY-MY-MH today for a cash offer on your mobile home. You can also visit our Fancy Pants website at www.mobilehomecashout.com. That's www.mobilehomecashout.com. We buy ugly mobile homes and the pretty ones.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
Here are today's headlines from the source, WOCA. If you were running for office these past few months or have been campaigning on behalf of a candidate, you are either walking on cloud nine today or you're bummed out. For the rest of us, it is a day to ponder the meaning of the results of yesterday's elections. Here are those results. Governor Rick Scott gets to keep his job after narrowly defeating former Governor Charlie Crist. Scott, with just 71,476 more votes than Crist, in percentage points that only put Scott at 48% of the vote over Crist's 47%. 95% of Florida voters chose one of the two primary candidates in the gubernatorial election. Only 4% of the votes were cast for Libertarian candidate Adrian Wiley. Glenn Burkett and Farid Kavari combined to receive the other 1%, or a total of 61,264 votes combined. Attorney General Pam Bondi gets to keep her job with 55.2% of the vote. Republican incumbent Bondi defeated Democrat George Sheldon and Libertarian Bill Walsifer. Adam Putnam keeps his seat as Florida's Agriculture Commissioner with 58.7% of the vote over his challenger Thad Hamilton. And Chief Financial Officer Jeff Atwater also keeps his job, defeating Will Rankin 59% to 41%. In the campaign for Circuit Court 5, Seat 3, Mary Hatcher defeated Denise Diamond Lynn 59.1% to 40.9%. Two other closely watched local campaigns were for positions on the Marion County School Board. Both Bobby James and Angie Boynton narrowly defeated their opponents, Jane Morley and Chase Basinger, respectively. James received 50.99% of the votes in his race, and Boynton received 51.95% of the votes in her race. Another closely watched vote was for Amendment 2, which was rejected by 42% of the voters. While the majority of the voters, at 58%, voted for the amendment, it still fails to pass because an amendment change requires at least 60% approval. Amendment 2, of course, would have been the first step toward legalization of medicinal marijuana. Amendment 1, however, did pass with 74.9% of the votes. Amendment 1 was the Conservation Program Amendment. The third amendment on the ballot was Amendment 3, the Judicial Vacancies Amendment. Amendment 3 failed to receive the required 60%, receiving only 52.1% of the vote, thus also failing. Of the congressional races in our area, Congressman Ted Yoho keeps his job after receiving 65% of the vote, keeping his District 3 seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Corinne Brown also keeps her job in Congress, holding on to the District 5 seat with 65.5% of the vote. In District 9, Alan Grayson keeps his job with 54% of the vote, and Daniel Webster will retain his District 10 seat in the House with 61.6%. Congressman Rich Nugent also keeps his job representing District 11 in Washington, D.C., defeating Dave Kohler 67% to 33%. The school board millage referendum was passed by voters with 53.94% of voters marking the yes circle on yesterday's ballot. Voters turned this referendum down twice before. Proponents promise that the passing of the millage referendum will increase the school board budget by $14 million a year to be applied to the hiring of teachers, the reduction of classroom sizes, and the restoration of art, music, and physical education programs. And finally, voter turnout in Marion County was a healthy 56.23%, according to Wesley Wilcox, Supervisor of Elections. That works out to 121,473 ballots cast from a total of 216,012 registered voters in Marion County. And those are the headlines from the source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunny to partly cloudy today and pleasant this afternoon, high 80 to 84. Partly cloudy tonight, lows ranging from the upper 50s in some interior locations to 66 along the coast. Tomorrow, partly sunny and warm. There may be a morning shower in spots along the coast, the high 80 to 84. On Friday, partly sunny and becoming less humid with highs in the 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
It's time for Farmer Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. USDA's Ag Statistics Service reported that peanut farmers have brought in about 79% of the crop. The 5-year average at 76. In Georgia, they're saying 90% of the peanuts have been dug. Just a few delays due to hard dirt that cannot get them dug until it rains. Peanuts harvested 78%. They've had great harvest weather there in the last few weeks. They say some are cutting and baling peanut hay. In Alabama, showing that 90% of the peanuts have been dug, combined at 81. Cotton right now is not far behind. In Florida, 90% of the peanuts are harvested. They say just a few remain in the Panhandle and the northern Florida area. But overall, the Federal State Inspection Service still continuing their checks at buying points, showing 1,939,000 tons harvested as of Monday, and that is about 81% of the crop estimate for this year.
You can tell a great deal about a company by the caliber of professionals who choose to work there. Cotton producers can rest assured knowing they've got the best working on their team. Cotton Incorporated maintains a team of dedicated industry experts who work hard every day to increase the demand for and profitability of cotton. These champions of cotton are the common thread that continues to strengthen the fiber of our industry. The Cotton Board and Cotton Incorporated, increasing the demand for and the profitability of cotton.
The University of Florida IFAS invites cattle ranchers across the state to attend the Florida Fall Cattlemen's Conference and Allied Trade Show November 20th in Ocala. The event will include discussions on a variety of topics ranging from beef economics, haymaking the grade, chute side manners, and a Florida cattle industry